First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
I'm getting a little nervous now because people are now calling up and guessing the exact place that I took the vehicle.
You could not resist, Wayne. Thanks a lot.
They're calling. People are texting me saying I know exactly where you took it.
Yeah, and I've
because
also
the
received
same
the text.
thing happened to me. Holy cow! Do people understand? I do a 3-hour radio show. And it's ad lib, and at any point during the morning, I could
just be blown up,
lose it.
Yeah.
And I said to my wife last night, I said I'm not getting into this on the air. I'm not going to talk about it on the air. And look at what Wayne did to me. Got me right into it. Richard, by the way, this morning saying you don't need snow tires on an SUV. The all-season tires are perfect. And I'm going to tell you, Richard, I agree. A good set of all-season tires are very, very good. But snow tires on an SUV, even better. I can go through 2 feet of snow with snow tires.
I put snow tires on my all-wheel drive, and I love it.
On the line right now, and I want to switch gears here. We're going to do the free money question coming up in a second. Please bear with my attention deficit this morning. Rick Yarosh. Do I say his name properly?
Sergeant Rick Yarosh.
Sergeant Rick Yarosh is and I want to get serious here because it's important. He is a Purple Heart recipient and has authored a book. The book is Sweethearts and Heroes presents a bridge named Amos. And did I say that right?
Yeah, this is an incredible story. Obviously, we're going to let Sergeant Yarosh tell it, but essentially, it's about he and his dog, his black lab Amos, going around and teaching kids about empathy. And it's a really truly incredible story overall. But the children's book itself is pretty good as well.
There's a story up on our website about this. And Sergeant, good morning. Thanks for tolerating me this morning. I apologize.
Listen, I was actually very interested in all that conversation. I could go. Let's keep it going.
Yeah,
right. Sorry, Sergeant. Let's move on.
The reality is, I wonder how many people have been taken advantage of.
It's probably a lot.
That didn't question, Okay, your story is amazing. Tell us, obviously, you motivate people every day. You're a motivational speaker, and you're taking your experience. But talk about a bridge named Amos.
Yeah, so I got my service dog back in, I think it was 2012, and Amos was actually trained in prison. He was trained in a medium security prison down in Fish Hill, New York, and he was trained through a program called Puppies Behind Bars. So I actually went into a prison for 2 weeks and spent time with the dogs and the inmates.
Wow. And
just an amazing program, giving these guys some kind of purpose, letting them know that they're helping people on the outside. It was amazing. So I got Amos, and pretty much right away we started taking him on the road and presenting to students, and it was all adults or high school students, middle school students, and teachers. Never elementary school kids, because the way I look, I know that some kids are going to be afraid of the way I look, and I didn't want to do that to any child other than, I have no choice but to go out in public, so that was no avoiding that, but I wouldn't want to enter a school and do that. So eventually we saw the need to go into elementary schools. Elementary schools were asking for us to come in, Sweethearts and Heroes. And eventually, I was like, okay, Amos, you got this. So I brought Amos in with me. My buddy Tom, who I present with, would call out Amos, and Amos would come out by himself. And all the kids are like, oh, my gosh, look at the dog. This is awesome. And then I come behind him, and they're like, oh, my gosh, look at the dog. They forget I'm even there.
Yeah.
So He was the perfect icebreaker, and that's why the book is called A Bridge Named Amos. He was the bridge that I needed to get into that arena with those little ones. And today, he passed away in October. But Yeah, he stopped traveling with me probably about 5 years ago. He loved the kids, but hated the car rides.
Yeah.
I just didn't need him anymore for that. He got me over that hump, over that river using that bridge.
The bridge, that is the bridge. Yeah. Can I just go back to, you said that kids would be afraid to see you, and there's a picture of you and the dog, Amos, on our website, WIBX950.com. But you were you survived an explosion. Two of your military brothers lost their lives in the explosion, and because of that, you were disfigured. I mean, it's a fact of life. You had to come to terms with that, I'm assuming.
Sure is. I mean, I look in the mirror, I know exactly what I see when I see it. So yeah, I was hit with an explosion in my Bradley, which is like a small tank, and it hit the fuel tank, covering myself in fuel and fire. When I had to get out of the vehicle, I I climbed through the top and had to jump off, and it's 10 feet tall. So when I jumped, I actually landed and I broke my leg. So I also have a prosthetic that I use on my right leg below my knee. But I'll tell you, that was all 18 years ago, and I feel extremely blessed today. And when I get to talk to students in small group settings, this isn't usually in our presentation, but in small group settings, I tell them that what happened to me was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it led me to being in their school, and it led me to meeting my wife and having my 2 daughters and having Amos. I wouldn't have any of those things if I didn't get injured. That certainly doesn't mean I wanted to get injured, but it happened.
And I just can't imagine. I'm getting chills right now, imagining everything that you went through. All, by the way, let's not forget, in the name of defending our freedoms
and serving us,
so that we can, complain about tires on a Thursday
it does.
Morning.
It puts things into perspective.
It does, and then the emotion of everything that you went through, and how you're able to, and how how Amos was that bridge for you, is just an incredible story that I think, I'm assuming you would agree with this. This is a book that could help people with many different issues, right? That are trying
for sure.
That are trying to get through something. It's all. Let's put it in perspective. It's one person's problem may not seem very big to us, but at the end of the day, it's their epic problem in their life, and could cause them so much harm. A book like this could be that bridge.
That's exactly right. So like when I go into schools and I, tell my story, those kids can't relate to that story.
Right.
They can relate to maybe feeling hopeless at times and stuff like that. And I can't relate with their story, and I always say, I'm never going to put your issue on a level of mine, because they're not the same. They're different. And maybe you're feeling like what you're dealing with is way worse than what I went through. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because everybody deals with things differently.
Yeah.
So this book, it was written for elementary school students. But it's just as much for adults than it is for those elementary school students.
Well, my wife is an elementary teacher, so I'm going to talk to her about getting. And everywhere we go, we're buying books. So this is a book we're going to buy, and she'll have on hand for students, and I appreciate you taking the time to write it and then to talk about this.
Thanks for all you're doing.
Is first of all, your service to the country and everything you went through, but now you're taking the time to help other people. That not all of us do that.
Well, there's a huge reward in it, and that reward is the comments you get from the people that you do help. So anybody that's gone through anything in their life that's really, really difficult, the reward afterwards is helping people get through difficult stuff.
Awesome. Thank you for what you have done. Thank you for what you are doing, Sergeant. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day. Have a great holiday.
You as well.
All right.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. Wow. That is, so when you're feeling bad about yourself, I try to do this when it comes to the cancer issue. I just turned 60 years old. When I see a 5-year-old bravely going through chemotherapy and radiation and all that, you quickly stop feeling sorry for yourself. quickly. And this is a story like that as well. And you can read about it, see the cover of the book, all of that up on our website at WIBX950.com. A bridge named Amos, A-M-O-S, as in famous, Amos. A bridge named Amos, written by Sergeant Rick Yarosh. We'll break.